Hello and welcome to another special edition of the Rise stream. This is a video all about MineMogul and the late game, very efficient, very roomy build that allows a lot of room for building a custom factory for all of your missions, chat. Now, we're not going to be using every piece of equipment that this game has. Some of the stuff I haven't really found a use for to build a very efficient and fully functional facility here in MineMogul, but we're going to check it out right now. So the best way to describe this game is you kind of divide it up into 4 sections of your build. The build looks very, very complicated when it's all put together here. But when you kind of think about it in 4 different sections, it makes it easy. There's the actual like mining portion of it where we're mining the raw resources. Then there is the ore section of it, which I like to kind of think of as its own separate section. Then there is the coal and gemstones. Then the last section, which I like to think of, is your actual production. First section that you want to kind of build here is the mines. So you actually want to get these mines going. Now I have these Mark II miners. You can use the Mark I mines. You don't even ever really need to get your Mark II miners up. They are a little faster, but they also have a drawback of not being able to produce gemstones. So if you have missions where you need gemstones, whatever, you just want gemstones, stick with the Mark 1s. But I have the Mark 2s up right now. I'll show you the Mark 1s later when we get into the gemstone stuff. But basically I have like 12 of these things, okay? I do basically 2.5 each of these. Let me show you the ones I've done. So if you're starting out from the computer here and you go to the right, there's one back here that offers like 75% coal. There's one right here that's, you know, half coal, half iron. And then I have 2 iron pure right here. So I use these ones here. These are basically all the closest ones. And then if you go from your computer and then to the left, there's this little shaft here. There's 2 pure coal nodes down here as well. So these are great. I have these down here. Going. Now, if you're wondering why I have a sorter here, in some of the missions, you need broken drill bits. Basically, the way these sorters work, they'll go straight through unless you have something in the basket. These actually will send these out the side. So that means whenever these drill bits break, they will shoot out the front here and I will be able to collect them. So then if you're coming from your computer over here and you go straight out this end, so just straight on out, I'm not really sure if you have to blow up these walls or not. If you do, just blow them up. They usually have the little detonators attached to them already. Not usually, they do. And this is where we get basically gold and coal out of back here. I have a pure coal right there. There's 2 pure golds back here. You know, you just got to search for these nodes, guys. They're really easy to find. They're pretty close. And then there's also back here, I have I believe it's a pure coal. Yep. There's a pure coal, and then there's a pure gold back here as well. But it's about 2.5 to 3.5 per resource. So if you just kind of think of it that way. All right, so where does everything funnel to? This is the fun part, okay? Once you get this all going, if you look back from your computer here, I'm going to keep you guys oriented as far as like the computer goes. But if you look back, straight back from your computer back here, there is a node here, but I didn't build on it. This is where I start bringing everything in. Every single one of my mining machines funnels in to right here. So every single resource, it all goes right here. This is a splitter. You could do this however you want. You don't have to use a splitter. You know, you might want to use like 2 belts coming up. The reason I use a splitter here is because, and there's multiple types of splitters too. So you don't have to use this splitter. You could use like the wiper blade splitter. There's all kind of, maybe not all kind of, but there's at least a few. Basically the reason I use the splitter here is because I want an even flow. I funnel everything into the splitter and then split it. I want an even flow between these sorters. So in this corner, this is the most complicated part of my build right here. And this is probably, if you're going to emulate this build, this is where you should probably start. We are, I believe, so from this back corner. So if you look from the computer back here, come straight back into the left in this corner, right next to the copper node area, you will find this corner. This is where I have built this insane labyrinth of crushers and sorters. So what happens is everything comes up these 2 belts and gets sorted out. These basically do the exact same thing, okay? These sort out all of the ores So we have, if you open this up, we have copper, we have gold, we have iron, and we have all the little ones too, the crushed ones. You don't want to forget about the crushed ones. We've got 1 coal here, and I have no coal in this one. Now, there's a reason for that, and we'll get into that later, okay? But for now, just know that I have 1 coal in here, plus all of the other ores, and that is what we got in one of those. And then no coal in that one. We just want ores out of that one. And there's a reason for it. So as you can see, it is currently sorting out the coal. We left the coal out of that. The coal is going to its own area down there. And everything else is going to the crusher. Now, everything that we're crushing here is getting sent out this tube right here. So if you're trying to emulate this, you basically want to come 1, 2, 3 away from that wall, 3 spots away from that wall, and then 1 spot away from this wall. And also you want to put it on a platform. I don't know if you have to do that, but I just did it to make my life easier, just to keep it higher off the ground, so we can keep these other ramps higher up and have more room down here to walk around and, you know, for everything that we need. So basically I put a platform down and I put the crushers right next to each other. 1, 2, 3 spaces from that wall and 1 space from that wall. And that worked great. That way you can sort everything out. Let's continue along with the ores, okay? So now that we got all of our stuff getting crushed into the crushers, all of our ores, the next thing you want to do is worry about where your ores are going. These merger conveyors are freaking awesome. I would unlock those the second you possibly can. That comes up here, and that basically drops into this thing. Now, this thing is arguably useless, but it is really cool looking. This thing is basically a sorter. It's a 3-way sorter. You drop stuff into the middle here and it gets sucked to the side. If it's whatever you put in this basket, it will get sucked to the side. So as you can see, we have copper over there. We also have, what is over there? Gold. So I got gold, copper, and then right down the middle is your iron. So as you can see, that is all getting sorted out. You can do this a couple different ways if you don't want to do this. Like, you can have the sorters basically go from one sorter to the other. So like, you could filter out gold on one and then drop it into one of these buckets right here. You can have, you know, then the next item will be copper and then iron. You can just run them in a daisy chain basically. But this thing makes your life a lot easier. It's just kind of one big unit and sorts it into 3 different things. Okay, and then what happens to the ore? The ore gets smelted. So I basically have 3 smelters here. If you want to do it the way I do it, you see this stupid rock? I hate this freaking rock. It looks like a, you know, like a lady laying on. No, never mind. Anyways, so this rock, I have this basically right next to this rock, kind of flush with it. And there's my 3 smelters, guys. And that is currently making gold. That's coming down, getting sorted. All the ores are getting crushed, sorted, and then dropped into these things right here. So we got gold, we got iron, and we got copper. That is making all of our ingots. All right, we're gonna cut it there because I'm gonna show you what happens later for your factory build over here. But that is basically that. Once you get these ingots being made. And the belt system, you know, that's kind of a belt system I borrowed from other games like Satisfactory. We got everything kind of just going into one there. That makes your ingots, your dirty, dirty ingots. Now, the next thing you want to kind of worry about in this setup, emeralds, your diamonds, and your rubies and your coal, that will all get sorted out. So if you have this set up the way I do, all your ores go in there, all your coal and your diamonds and rubies are going to go over here. So let's take a look at coal. The way I have coal set up is very strange because I have big ones getting sorted out this way. And then you guys remember that little piece of coal I put in here? There was a reason for it. Half the coal, since it gets split down that way, is going into the crusher and half isn't. Why? Because there are missions that require both. There are some missions that require big chunks of coal. There are some missions that require small chunks of coal, okay? So I separate those out because sometimes you need one, sometimes you need other, sometimes you need both. All right, and there's also another reason when we talk about coal. There's another brand new thing that they just added to this game in this version, which is version 1.0.1.1. It is called the shaker table, and what the shaker table does is gives you rubies, ladies and gentlemen. Well, it actually gives you gemstones of all caliber, diamonds, emeralds, and rubies, but you need them precious rubies with the shaker table. That's the only way I found to get rubies. There might be rubies in this game somewhere else. I don't know. I don't want to know. All right, because I couldn't find them. So basically what I have here, all right, is a very strange belt system. So I have coal going up this way, and then I have another shaft down here coming out of the sides of both of these. This sorts out small coal, all right? We got small coal coming out of both sides of this. It loops around this, all right, on this side, because I don't know how else to do that. And then it comes out this side. On this side, it goes into one belt. We got small coal on the bottom. And what happens is this thing sorts out our rubies. Or no, I'm sorry, our gemstones. All right, so we have our emeralds and our diamonds up in here. And this will sort out the coal, and then the coal gets all dropped off up here. Why do we do this? Because all of our gemstones are going to get sorted out here. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to flip one of these things to get gemstones, and I'm going to show you exactly what happens with all of that. All right, so basically what I did was I replaced this with a Mark 1 miner, and look at that. Look at this. Oh, what good timing. So we have a emerald, and I'm going to show you what happens to an emerald when it comes up here, okay? I explained to you guys the coal. Now we're going to explain the emerald. The emerald is going up the shaft. All right? And instead of going into the ore, it is going to separate it, get separated out here with the splitter, and it's going to travel along with the coal, okay? So it travels along, and it will do the same with this belt as well. So the gemstones, they will never go down, which, you know, neither belt, they will never go down there and get crushed. I believe they get destroyed. Then that gets sorted out. So gemstones have their own special chute here, okay? The coal gets all sorted out there. Then the gemstones come down this chute and get cleaned. So they drop down. This is a chute. There are many parts of a chute. They're pretty self-explanatory and easy to figure out. And then it gets dropped right down here onto this belt right here, guys, and in for sale. So it gets dropped there, cleaned up, and that's all gemstones. So all gemstones will drop down that chute right there. Now, where does this chute come from? I will explain that in a minute here. But yeah, that is just kind of a shared chute for finished ingots and gems. So basically any like finished ingots, I will show you how that kind of goes when we don't need them. It's kind of a bypass. What you can do with coal, and what we're gonna have to do to get rubies, is you can build a wash plant. So I'm gonna show you how to build a wash plant, and this setup allows for an easy wash plant replacement. So if you have the coal all coming out of here and filtering down into your hopper, you can easily just replace this wash plant. That is the reason that this is right here, okay? So I placed a platform here, all right, or scaffolding, whatever you want to call it. And what we're going to do is we're going to buy, let me buy 2 of those. They're called shaker tables. I've been calling them wash plants. They're called shaker tables, whatever. All right, we bought 2 of those. They're wash plants. All right, so let's get those shaker tables. Maybe they are shaker tables. I don't know. But anyways, let's get these. Oh, one new addition to the game. You can actually get rid of these things now. The wrench is the greatest invention of all time. You can get rid of those little poles. Those pillars are so annoying. So if you put up like a chute like this, there would be a million pillars here in previous versions of the game that will block your entire path. You can't walk past them. You can't walk past them. So you can now clear these out with a wrench. Greatest thing ever. So get that first thing. But anyways, so yeah, I'm getting sidetracked. Let's build these wash plants. So what you want to do is you want your first one to be elevated, and you're going to see why here. All right, let me take this, and let me take this. There's going to be coal everywhere. Just don't worry about that. We're going to get our wash plant. First one goes here, and it's about 2 levels up, all right, from the ground level. And that's going to start washing all of this coal. So as you can see, there is all kind of coal getting washed in this wash plant. Now, what this does is it creates gemstones. So when you wash this, the big ones will turn into rubies, because the red rubies are really big and they only come out of the big coal. The big coal blobs. The small coal blobs, the crushed coal, will produce diamonds, but that's it. The big stuff comes out of there. We're not getting anything yet. So what I like to do is I like to place 2 of these, and you got plenty of money to do that. Whoops, let me take that as well. And the reason you place 2 is because sometimes, whoops, I screwed that up. You want to place one right under the other. Okay, so there, we'll place another one right there. And the reason you want to place one under the other is because you're going to get, let's create the belt. You're going to get small coal that trickles down from the big coal. So the big coal nodes will break down into small, and the small will trickle down into here. And that way you have the best chance of getting diamonds. So yeah, there you go. We haven't got anything yet, but we might get something. Hopefully we get something soon so I can show you. But that is how I do it. The wash plant is fantastic. And what's great about this setup is you can easily swap between the two. Because sometimes you need 10,000 coal. Sometimes you need rubies and diamonds and all that other crap. So that is very easily, redoable. So pretty easy stuff. All right, let's clean all this up and I'll show you the rest of it there, guys. There's a diamond. Shine bright like a diamond. So we already got a diamond. I want to get a ruby out of here. If we get a ruby, I'll show you. But yeah, actually what you could really do, if you really want to see what you're getting instead of just dropping it into the hopper, while you're waiting for all this, you can just get rid of one of these. And this will all drop all your diamonds, rubies, everything from these. So we'll let that shaker plant go for a while. The next thing we're going to do is show you our factories. Now, I currently have a rod factory because I need rods for these master of copper. So let me just show you my skill tree real quick. I ain't bragging, but I did almost complete everything. I'm working on the master stuff right now, and then we got the mogul stuff, and that's literally it. At least for now, in this version of the game. I'm sure they're going to add more. But basically, I have all the researches except for the dev test unlocked, so everything is currently unlocked. We're in end game right now for me. So anyways, the reason I showed you that is because to get everything that you need, to get all these things done, you're gonna have to do different missions. So you're gonna need different things. You're gonna need polished copper pipes. You're gonna need iron pipes. Then you're gonna need, a little bit of everything on each ore. Okay. So each mission, you're basically gonna want to build a brand new factory for each mission, and this makes it so easy. Everything that I've showed you up to this point leads us to ore ingots. Okay. So other than the coal missions, other than the oh yeah, see that? We got some rubies. Look at that. So that is why I have 2 wash plants. That maximizes your coal washing into these gemstones. So there you go. So that's what we're doing right now. So all those gemstones will pile up. You'll need that for one mission later. But anyways, or maybe you already did it. I don't know. So the way I have this set up, right after our ingots are being made here, we are currently sorting out copper, and we are sorting out iron, and then the remaining product is gold. So we got copper, iron, and gold. That is what you make stuff with. So right now we're just making rods. This allows you to set up any production you want. And if you don't have a production, like say you're in the middle of building your production facility, all you got to do, and this is the easiest way to do it. There's all kind of other ways to do it. You could set up a blocker. You could set up, whatever, however you want to block things. But this, in my opinion, I've found is the easiest way to set it up, is to just take the stuff out of there and everything bypasses. So nothing filters out. Then you got everything bypassing. And then all you got to do here, okay, is dismantle this on this side. Where's my... Uh-oh. Oh, I thought I lost my hammer. Oh, all right, let me get my hammer. Give me my hammer back. All right, and then all you got to do is dismantle this, all right, whatever your factory is, and put a little corner in there. And then you have a complete bypass while you build your factory, ladies and gentlemen. So but what you can do is you can go in here and you can dismantle everything. And I'm going to show you. This is basically what you want to do. And now what I do is I set up 2 of these washer machines or whatever they're called. I can't remember what they're called. But they basically clean everything. As you can see, they're cleaning all the ingots. So while you're working, you're making money on ingots. So while you build a plant. So honestly, this gives you a ton of room to build a giant factory however you want. You could build a rod factory. You could build a pipe factory. You could build a rod and pipe factory. You could build a flat piece of steel factory. Whatever you want to build. You got all this room back here if you want to run stuff back here and then run it into the hopper. Look at all this freaking room, okay? So that is why I have this set up. When you first play this game, you realize there ain't a lot of room in here, okay? So you kind of got to get creative. So when you got everything happening behind this stupid rock, you know, that comes up to this point, that it's just making ingots, and you got your, you know, you got your diamonds and your coal over here, then and your gemstones and your coal over here. Then you got all this room to make everything else you want. So say you want to make a, what do we need? A rod factory. There's a rod factory. That just took me like 5 minutes to build. And what's great is you have all the resources at your disposal. So you need pipes. You could easily make a pipe factory with all of the resources at once. The trick to this game is to activate everything you can, everything that you have available on your skill tree, activate it right away. I'm gonna slide over here to show you where that button is. So you want to activate every single one of them, because they fixed the bug where, I don't know if it was a bug, maybe it was a feature, but it used to be where, you know, if you were doing one quest, the same exact item on that quest would not count for another quest. Now it does. So in 0.1.1, it does count. So you want to open all your quests that you can at once. That way you get, you know, maximize your research tokens there and getting those quests done. So anyways, yeah, that's how you do it. You can build whatever you want. You got all the room you want. That's how I built my setup. Hopefully that helps somebody. I know it's complicated, but if you break it down system to system to system, it's really not that bad. And this gives you all the room in the world to work. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks for watching the video. I appreciate you. Tap the like, do all that fun stuff. If you're new, subscribe. We go live like all the time. And I will see you on the next one. Peace out, everybody. Whoa!